My gaming setup is amazing, but it hasn't always looked this good. In my humble opinion, I believe I have a pretty good looking gaming setup. I've spent the last maybe 5 or 6 years making sure everything looks cozy, perfect, camera ready, making sure that it looks right for y'all, and making sure that it looks right for me. A lot of love has been put into this setup, including expensive gear down to cheap decorations. Now, it hasn't always looked this way. It was kind of a gradual buildup, but now I can safely say that this is the best my setup has ever looked. Which brings me into the introduction of this video, which is 5 budget tips to improve your setup. Now, these tips are for the people who don't have a crazy budget but want to make their setup look as good as possible. So by the end of this video, I hope your setup looks as good as it possibly can. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Starting it off with my first tip, cable management. Cable management is such an underrated way to make your setup look really good without spending a whole lot of money. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't like looking at my setup and seeing a whole bunch of wires hanging under the desk. To me, it just looks super messy and unprofessional. Now, one thing I have to factor into this is not everybody has the same desk. Some people have the custom IKEA desk with the Alex drawers. Some people have sit-stand desks. That people have a bunch of different desks that we have to factor into this. But after doing some brainstorming, this is the best way to make your cable management look good without spending a lot of money. First step, cable trays. They are a lifesaver. Now, there's a bunch of different trays you can find on Amazon, but me personally, I'm going with the Vivo cable management tray. It's fully metal, so it's not going to break anytime soon. It's really big in size, so you're going to be able to fit a whole bunch of wires into it. And instead of hooking it up with some adhesive tape or 3M tape, you actually drill it to the underside of your desk, so it's not going anywhere. You can get it for only $20 on Amazon, and if you really want to maximize the tidiness of your cables, I would pair it with some Velcro ties. If stuffing it all into the cable tray isn't good enough, having Velcro ties really brings it all together by making sure they're not loose everywhere. It makes your setup look a little bit less thrown together, and you can get 100 pack of these for only $8 on Amazon, which is a crazy deal. And if that isn't good enough and you have wires running all around your desk, get some cable clips. I've used cable clips in almost every single one of my setups. They do me no wrong, and you can get 192 pieces of them for only $15 on Amazon. And also, I just want to say I put cable management first on the list because I think that's the biggest mistake people can make when creating their first gaming setup. And if you want to take photos and record videos of your gaming setup, you want to make sure it's camera ready, and that includes making sure wires aren't hanging all under the desk. Trust me, nobody wants to see it. Going on to number 2 on the list of budget ways to make your setup look good is something I like to call layered lighting. To put it simple, layered lighting is when you put multiple different lights in your setup or your room to really make it pop. It still looks pretty good, but honestly, it looks a lot better with all the lights on. As I said, layered lighting really makes your setup pop. Now, really quick, I just want to add everything that's being listed in this video is going to be included in the description of this video. It's going to be an Amazon affiliate link, so if you purchase it, it's really going to help me out. When you watch my videos and see something you like and purchase it off one of the links in the description, it helps create the content that you see and enjoy. So again, I would like to thank all of you, and again, everything you see will be listed in the description. The first light that I would put in your gaming setup is the Enbrighten 10-foot RGB IC strip. Now, everybody uses RGB lights, but what do I mean by RGB IC? Basically, what that means is that strip can be multiple different colors at the same time, instead of it being an RGB strip, which can only be one color at a time. Now, if I were you, I would put the strip behind your desk so it shines on the wall and on the underside of your setup and give it an ambient glow. This formula has been done a million times before, and the reason why that is, it's just because it looks good. You can get the Enbrighten Vibe on Amazon for around $18, which is a really good price point for what you're getting. Now, if you have a lamp in your room or something else that holds a light bulb, what I would get is an RGB light bulb. Specifically, one that can hook up to your Wi-Fi and you can control with your smartphone or like your HomePod or anything like that. The ones that I have are from a company called Moze. They're the ST64. They come in a 2-pack and they just look really good. They're RGB, they hook up to Wi-Fi. The only issue is they're about $35, so they're not exactly budget, but you're getting a 2-pack, so I believe it's worth it. Going down a little bit cheaper, I would get the LIFX A19 smart light bulb. Again, it's RGB, looks really good. It hooks up to Wi-Fi. It's everything you would want. Again, layered lighting is a great way to make your setup look really good. But let's say you don't want the recommendations. Let's say you just want the ones in my setup. Again, like I said before, everything in my setup and all the recommendations are going to be listed in links below, so you can take a look for yourself and see if you want it or not. Moving on to number 3 on the list, I'm going to say having a big desk mat really helps the look of your setup. Again, from what I said before, not everybody has the same taste, so a lot of people are gonna have different desks than I do. Now, I've had a bunch of different mouse pads throughout the years, and I'm gonna list off a few brands that I think are worth it. It's not gonna be in any order, it's just some brands that I think are really, really worth it. The first brand that I gotta say is Gutsy Aiden. I've owned numerous desk mats from him, and they are absolutely worth it. They're a little bit on the pricier side, they're not insanely expensive, but for what you're paying for, it's absolutely worth it. Gutsy Aiden mouse pads are thick, they're stitched really, really well, they look amazing. They feel great when playing the game, the glide is really, really smooth, so overall, it's just a great mouse pad. They come in at around $40 per mouse pad. Again, I said they're on the pricier side, so that's why I wanted to go ahead and get this one out the way. This is not sponsored in any way, his mouse pads are just genuinely that great, and I'm gonna drop his link down in the description if you guys want some of his mouse pads. Number 2 on the list, I'm gonna go ahead and list Corsair. Corsair has some really nice mouse pads from around the $10 to $20 range. I've had a big Corsair mouse pad and I've had a small Corsair mouse pad. They both felt really, really great for the price point. And again, because of the mouse pad, it not only improves my performance in gaming, but it makes my setup look a lot better. So here is my setup without the mouse pad, and here's my setup with the small one, and here's my setup with the big mouse pad. You can kind of see the difference, right? Your mouse pad matters a lot when it comes to gaming, especially if you're using keyboard and mouse, but also even if you're just having it for decoration, it really adds to that pop. And the last thing on the list, the mouse pad that I'm using currently is the Logitech G240. It's a smaller mouse pad than what I'm used to. It's a little bit thinner than what I'm used to, but overall, it's still a great quality mouse pad. And as you can see, I'm pairing it with the Nordic large felt desk mat, which looks really good in this setup, but right now I'm only focusing on the Logitech, so let's take that out of the setup and see what it looks like with just the Logitech mouse pad. The Logitech G240 comes in at around $10 on Amazon, but it's really, really good for what you're paying for. I would recommend it as I've been using it throughout the last 2 weeks. It's small, it's minimal, and the best of all, it's budget, which is why we're all here. Moving on to number 4 on the list, we have placement. The placement of everything in your setup really, really matters, and making sure your setup looks good, which means you got to spend time and think and really look at what you're putting in your setup, and does it belong there and does it look good there? You can't just buy something that looks cool, put it in your setup and say it looks good. That's not how it works. You can buy something that looks cool, sure, but would it look cool in your setup? This is when brainstorming really comes in. You can't look at a video, see a cool item, buying it, and expecting it to look the same in your setup, because your setup might look different than the one in the videos, and now you're a little bit disappointed. And of course, add your own ideas to it, add your own personality, make it pop, make it really stand out. You want to make sure someone looks at that setup and say, wow, I want that setup. This part of the video was a little bit less about buying things and more knowledge based, but in my personal opinion, still a great budget way to make sure you still have the best possible setup you possibly could without spending a whole lot of money. Now moving on to number 5, which I think is very, very important, decorating. Now decorating is what really adds that final touch to your setup, and really you can use anything to decorate. If you're still within that 2020 era of gaming setups, you have RGB lights everywhere, I would focus more towards Govee. Govee has really good RGB lights for the price. They've gone a little bit up over the years, but still kind of budget depending on what you get. Now the number one thing I believe belongs in everybody's setup is the IKEA pegboards. The IKEA pegboards hold a lot of versatility. You can put so many things up there for display and really make them look good. They're called the Scattis pegboard, and you can get them off the IKEA website or go to your local IKEA and get them for around $30. This is how good they are. I have 3 of them in my room, all holding different things, and they look amazing. You can get them in white, black, or brown color variants, and they look great in every setup. Another item that I would use to decorate is Funko Pops, minifigs, everything like that. I've had Funko Pops in all of my setups for many years. I don't know why, I just think they look really good in any setup. Now, you can get many Funko Pops off of Amazon for around $12 to $15 per Funko Pop. Now, you don't only have to get like action figures or Funko Pops or anything like that. If you just search up decoration figures on Amazon, you can see a bunch of things that look really good for around $15 to $30. You can't throw a decoration in one spot expecting it to look good. You actually have to plan it out, and when you do and finally see the result, it looks amazing. Another thing people usually do, I'm gonna name it here, is getting fake plants. Fake plants can belong in any setup and they're gonna look great. It really adds a pop of life into your setup, and pairing it with all your other decorations, it just makes it look really cool. There's a bunch of different fake plants you can find on Amazon. The one I have comes in a 4-pack and it's only $15, so I'll go ahead and put down in the description of this video. To me, if a setup doesn't have decorations, it just looks kind of lifeless, so decorations really bring a pop of personality, as I've said before. All of it tied together, it really makes your setup look as good as possible without spending a life-saving amount of money. But that's that's everything I have for you today. I hope all of this information and all of these tips can really make your setup look as great as possible. If you want to show me what your setup looks like, you can join my Discord, which is linked down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more content. But other than that, that's everything I got for y'all. So peace out.